Welcome to Steph Case Files Presents Truth Be Told, a true crime podcast. On this episode, we aim to shed light on the disturbing disappearance of Katie Ferguson, a 27-year-old mother of two who vanished in October of 2023. Katie's story is a chilling example of how domestic turmoil, missed opportunities for intervention, and systematic failures can have devastating consequences. Katie Ferguson was last seen in Cody, Wyoming in October of 2023. Now, Katie's relationship with her boyfriend, Adam Aviles Jr., was marked by periods of love and connection interspersed with Adam's struggles with addiction and volatile behavior. Adam had a history of drug charges and firearm violations, and there were multiple police interventions. Katie's family even desperately tried to help her leave the toxic relationship. Despite these efforts, Katie couldn't escape the clutches of the toxic relationship, highlighting the challenges victims of domestic violence face. This episode will provide a detailed account of the events leading up to Katie's disappearance, including instances of domestic abuse and police inaction. We will accumulate with the chilling discoveries made in the van Adam was driving, which was later found abandoned. In this episode of the disappearance of Katie Ferguson, we put in a call to action for increased awareness, demanding justice for Katie, and urging a deeper understanding of the systematic failures that leave victims of domestic violence vulnerable. Katie's story serves as a heartbreaking reminder of the urgent need to protect those at risk and hold perpetrators accountable. The mystery surrounding her death is just the beginning. Join us as we interview the family, look at police records, reports, and trace the steps that may lead to bringing Katie Ferguson home. On Thursday, April the 20th, 2023, Katie, her two children, ages 4 and 1, and her mother left Cody, Wyoming to stay with her mother's sister in Dothan, Alabama for a chance to start over. A separation following many years of ups and downs between Katie and her boyfriend, 27-year-old Adam Aviles Jr. Katie, just 33 years old, had been facing postpartum depression. Though she had a substance abuse problem in the past, she seemed ready to be sober and clean and enjoy life with her mother and children. It wasn't long before the fresh start from this toxic relationship began to form once again, because in October of 2023, she decided to return home from Dothan to Cody, Wyoming. However, this cross-country trip soon turned suspicious, and maybe even deadly. Katie Ferguson grew up in Cody, Wyoming, the sibling to two other sisters and a brother. Katie seemed to be the outgoing one of the family. After her parents' divorce, Katie and her brother Alan went to live with their mother Mona, while her sisters Nicole and Amanda went to live with their dad. In December 2023, Angela Ferguson, Katie's stepmom, described in an interview that Katie was a funny person with a sense of humor like her father's. Angela noted that she first met Adam during the family trip to West Yellowstone. During that encounter, everything seemed fine, and he seemed to be a good person. Stacy, Adam's mother, stated to Angela that Adam grew up being a normal, good kid. She said that she doesn't know what happened, but Angela noted that drugs can change a person's personality. Adam had been known for his drug issues from arrest dating all the way back to 2018, when he was arrested and convicted of felony heroin possession. Having a drug charge made him ineligible to possess a firearm or ammunition, facts that will matter later in this story. During Katie and Adam's relationship, there was good times and bad, but mainly bad. The on-again, off-again relationship seemed to decline if Katie and Adam had a relapse. Let's start in their relationship back in 2021. On August 20th, 2021, Katie's sister, Nicole Ferguson, called police and requested to speak with them regarding the drug transactions between the father of her child and Adam. In the report, Nicole stated that on that day, she asked Katie to see Adam's phone when she had gone over to check on her sister because Adam had been put in jail. She looked at the phone and saw a conversation between her child's father and Adam that seemingly made them look like they were working together to distribute drugs. Adam had been arrested for an outstanding Park County, Wyoming District Court felony probation revocation. A revocation based on him knowingly and intentionally possessing a controlled substance. A probation that came in 2017 from an original conviction of substances. Not long after this incident, police were called to Katie's home again. This time, it turned into an incident that ended up saving Katie's life. In the morning hours of September the 12th, 2021, not long after Adam had been put in jail for violating probation, he was back home, and things seemed to really take a downward spike when police received a call about a woman in distress at their home. When officers arrived, they found Katie unconscious and in need of CPR. The officer said, and I quote, "I stepped around Aviles Jr. to check a pulse, but Ferguson was not breathing, and her skin color was turning blue." The officer, whom I think is a hero in this situation and saved Katie's life, went on to say, "I started chest compressions and was able to hear air coming out of Ferguson's mouth and go back in, knowing she was receiving oxygen back in her lungs. For some moments, Katie wasn't breathing, and in an act of heroism, the police officer breathed life back into her once again. After administering compressions and calling emergency medical services, officers managed to revive Ferguson enough to transport her to the hospital. The man on the scene was identified none other than Adam Aviles Jr. When questioned, Adam explained that he had been in a fight with Ferguson and that she had spent the night in the bathroom. Me personally, if someone told me this while someone else was administering CPR, I would have immediately noted it as a huge red flag. The question of how Katie ended up in the backyard immediately hit my mind as I read the report, and what Adam says happened still doesn't make any sense. He stated to the police that he had got into a fight and that he had left the residence the night before. Adam then stated that he returned home around midnight to 1 o'clock in the morning. He said that he saw she was sleeping on the bathroom floor, so he went on to bed. He claimed that he found her unresponsive the next morning after the fight and attempted to revive her by splashing water on her. But he didn't try this in the bathroom like you would think one would, especially if the person I loved were passed out there. The bathroom, after all, is where water usually is. Suddenly, according to Adam, around 6 a.m., he heard her fall onto the bathroom floor. Wait, I thought she was already on the bathroom floor when he arrived home. So how did she fall on the floor in which she already lay on? Then he proceeded to explain that he drug her from the bathroom to the backyard to revive her with water. The backyard is where officers found her, began CPR, and saved her life. But while they observed signs that Katie might have been subjected to repeated trauma with visible bruising and signs of asphyxiation, the rush to address an apparent domestic violence situation didn't seem like a top priority for police. Now, at this point, as an officer, I would be adding 2 and 2 together. Fight the night before. She spent the night in the bathroom. He found her and dragged her outside to splash water on her instead of doing it right there in the bathroom. While all of this is going on and Katie Ferguson is fighting for her life, officers discovered that Adam had a record involving probation violations, possible drug manufacturing, and possession of counterfeit substances. His involvement in these activities raised suspicions about the conditions surrounding Katie's injuries and whether drugs were involved in her deteriorated state. As to whether, despite all of this evidence, Adam was arrested that night, the answer is no. However, authorities went to the hospital Katie was taken to and continued to ask her questions. Katie described to officers instances where Aviles had allegedly been abusive, but there was a troubling twist. Katie mentioned that Adam had recently picked up heroin and planned to sell it to, quote, make things better financially. This statement gave officers cause to investigate Adam further for drug-related offenses. Authorities took measures to secure evidence by preserving Adam's phone records with Verizon and applying for a search warrant. The investigation also focused on safeguarding the couple's daughter. Their daughter had been staying with Adam's mother at the time, but officers reached out to family services working to ensure their daughter's safety and explore options for temporary guardianship. Despite the mountain of evidence, his own admission, and Katie's testimony to police while in the hospital, Adam received no charges from this incident, despite the details painting a grim picture of repeated abuse and illegal activities. Despite the details painting a grim picture of repeated abuse and illegal activities, the county attorney's office required a higher burden of proof, indicating that more evidence, like DNA samples and further interviews, would be needed. DNA samples? Why weren't those obtained by warrant? The official case status declination report from the prosecutor said, quote, we have no drugs. We are only half a self-serving statement from the female, and we have no evidence on the suspect. Signed, Larry Eschel. I wonder if wherever Katie Ferguson is now, that wherever her missing body lays far away from her family, if she seems self-serving now. I don't disregard the saying that hindsight is 20/20. My sight is perfectly clear, however, and all I see is a corrupt system that failed Katie Ferguson, and that view is 20/20. Between October 2021 and September of 2022, Katie and Adam's relationship began to further decline. On September the 24th, 2022, a new police call was made regarding the custody of the couple's 1-year-old daughter. During this incident, police reported that no custody order was in place, and despite Katie's plea to help them keep both her and her daughter safe, police refused to remove the child from Adam's custody. They noted in the police report, quote, Ferguson was not happy that I would not remove the child from Avila's custody and alleged that Avila is using meth as recent as 4 days ago. They then noted it wasn't enough to pursue a warrant despite having copies of text messages sent in August regarding meth between Adam and Katie's sister's boyfriend. Despite a drug incident that almost cost Katie her life, and despite her own testimony from within the hospital where she nearly took her last breath, CPS wasn't called. Mounted with evidence and incidents, the Cody, Wyoming Police Department failed to follow through with enough evidence. How much more evidence could you possibly need? On October 13th, 2022, police were called again regarding a custody dispute. This time, Adam called stating he allowed Katie into their home, and she picked up the child and took the child with her to her mother, Mona's house, both of which had escaped to a crisis intervention housing not long after that in Powell, Wyoming. This time, surprisingly, they informed Adam that there was nothing they could do due to the child wasn't in any danger. By this time, Katie had seemingly had enough. By 2023, things between Katie and Adam had reached a level unlike before, and things started to unravel for the last and final time. On January the 11th, 2023, Adam again called police complaining that Katie was sitting in a white car with their child and expressed concern because of alleged drug use. Police did investigate, but did not find Katie nor their child in the car at all. Empty allegations by Adam led to more arguments, more disagreements. About a year before a bigger decision was made, Katie and her mother lived in that safe house that I had mentioned before. They escaped to stay in the safe house while Adam was at work because allegedly Adam jumped on Katie's stomach when she was pregnant. They left the safe house and went back to Cody for 3 months. But they couldn't find a rental, so they decided to leave. The last police call given before Katie's disappearance happened on May the 18th, 2023. Katie informed the police that she received information about Adam Aviles Jr. dealing drugs. This incident was not investigated, and at this point, Katie's mother, Mona, convinced her daughter that they should start over somewhere new and away from the toxic situation. This incident was not investigated, and at this point, Katie's mother, Mona, convinced her daughter that they should start over somewhere new and away from the toxic situation. Mona's sister, Katie's aunt, lived in Dothan, Alabama. In May of 2023, Katie, Mona, and Katie's now 2 children with Adam went to Alabama for a fresh start, a new life. A new life filled with hope and a life filled with not being in fear for her life. Simply put, a new way of living. The summer of 2023 went by quickly in Alabama as Katie, her mom, and her children adapted to life without Adam in it. Katie's mother states that she seemed to have postpartum depression and seemed down at times. People around her tried to keep her motivated and looking forward to the future, but Katie seemed to gravitate back toward Adam over the summer months. She began by letting the 4-year-old speak with him over the phone, thus igniting conversations between her and Adam. Adam tried to convince her that he loved her and, quote, had changed. He told her that he was wrong, that he was clean and sober, going as far as trying to convince her that he wanted her mother to be in their lives once again. Adam had convinced Katie that he needed her and the children back. In fact, he agreed to drive cross-country from Cody, Wyoming to Dothan, Alabama to pick her and the children up. Katie had been clean, healthy, and seemingly was getting her life back together when in September of 2023, Adam had not only convinced her to come back in his life, but he was there. There in Alabama. He had arrived to pick Katie and the kids up to take them back to Cody, Wyoming. When he arrived, due to the space limitations at the Inn's house, they had to leave, so they went to a hotel. Her, Katie, Adam, and the kids. While at the hotel, Katie spoke to her mom about something she had found in the vehicle, and things became increasingly stressful as she began to tell her mother about her findings. Katie was upset about finding the weapon and black ski mask and confronted Adam. Mona witnessed Katie bringing the paper back to Adam to ask him about what she found inside.
Katie came to me and said, "Mom, I found a brown paper bag in his car." And I said, "What? Well, what was in it?" She said, "Mom, there is a gun, there is a black ski mask, and there are gloves." I said, "Katie, we need to get the F out of here now with the kids." I said, "Don't you see? He's back on drugs. Look at him. Don't you see? It's time, Katie, let's just go. We'll go to a homeless shelter. We'll start over." I said, "Come on, let's go. Let's go." And she didn't want to go. She seemed very confused, very defeated. She confronted him and said, "What is this paper bag?" And I was right there. We were in the same hotel. "What is this?" And brought it to him. And he pulled the gun out and held it, and I got nervous. And he started laughing, and I got more nervous. I had the kids all by me. I had her by me. He was on one bed with his dog, and I was on the other with the kids and her. And I looked at the door, and I was making a plan in my head, what to do. And he said, "Oh, this is to rob people because we need money." And I needed protection on the way down here.
After his shady explanation of simply needing it for protection, Mona picked up both children and explained that if he did not provide rent for the hotel room, that she would take the children and go. Adam went up to Mona and he grabbed one of the children. What Adam allegedly did next is unthinkable and even hard to process.
It was over 100 with the heat indexed. And he took the dog, too, and he locked them both in the hot car with the windows up. So I kept Evie on my hip. I screamed at Katie, call the police. She's like, Mom, he'll calm down. Just give him a minute. I said, your daughter don't have a minute, Katie. I said, he can't do this. I ran out there. I thought to myself, what could I do to make him let go of her and, open the door and let her back in? So I walked up to him and he goes, you're not taking her. I said, okay, Adam. Okay, just get her out of the car. I baby talked him because he is a mama's boy, big time. I knew how to manipulate him back. And I did. And I hugged him and I said, I'm not trying to take the kids from you. I just want you to step up. We can't live on the street with the kids in the heat in the car. I said, you can't do that in Alabama. You can't do that anywhere. I said, they need proper nourishment. They need proper taken care of. Mm-hmm. And I said, she'll die in that car, so you either get her out now or I'm calling the police right now. And I grabbed my phone, put it up to my ear. He was getting ready to push 911, actually, then put it up to my ear. He said, no, stop, I'll take her out.
After Mona took the child out of the car, they waited on Mona's sister, who was on her way to pick her up. An argument ensued between Mona and Adam when she was trying to cool the child down, whose face was red from the heat after being locked in a car under the Alabama sun. Adam became angry when Mona said that the children needed to go with her while they worked things out.
He said, fuck you, you're not taking her. And he tried to grab Evie, and I wouldn't let him. I shoved him, and he flew back on the bed. He grabbed Harlow, and he wouldn't let go of her. He had her on his lap, and his arms wrapped around her. My sister knocked on the door. I left with Evie. I called the police, and right away, I called not only the police, I called it's called DHR down there, the Children Family Services. I reported him. I reported what happened to the cops, what happened. I gave them their location. They went to do a welfare check on them, and I was told that they were perfectly fine, that you should see some of the kids in Alabama.
Wait, what? They, quote, should see some of the kids in Alabama? Since when is the standard of care based on the worst they have ever seen and not based on the facts of the case? Because they seemed fine, no report was made. Adam wasn't there. But where was he that day? Eventually, Mona was allowed to take the baby, who was about to turn 1-year-old, but she couldn't take the 4-year-old. For 3 weeks, Katie and Adam moved from hotel to hotel around Dothan, Alabama. And Katie's mother had hoped they would try to stay down in Alabama and choose it to be their home. But then, Mona noticed money was missing from her account, and she texted Katie about the incident. No response for the 3 weeks while they were in the area. Mona continued to take care of the 1-year-old baby while the 4-year-old stayed with Katie and Adam. Suddenly, Katie called her mother to meet her to get the 11-month-old child. Heartbroken, Katie's mom realized that they were going back to Cody, Wyoming, and that she would have to hand over her 1-year-old granddaughter that she had been taking care of. Mona spoke to me in a broken tone as she felt like she gave up. Hopelessness set in as she watched her daughter go with the person that seemingly had destroyed their lives. Anguish and worry raged over her as they pulled out on their journey back to Cody, Wyoming. As a mother, all she wanted to do was to protect her daughter and her grandchildren. Despite her pleas to her daughter to go inside with her, Katie got in the car and they drove off on October the 3rd, 2023. At the time that Adam and Katie left to go back to Cody, Wyoming, Adam took Katie's phone and powered it down. This was just another one of Adam's alleged communication barrier tactics to keep Katie in his control. The next time that anyone saw Katie alive with her family was in Truman, Arkansas, on October the 5th, 2023, at 11:10 a.m. The police noticed that the van that they were driving was sitting in a Walmart parking lot with Katie in the front passenger seat and the side door open. Concerned, the officer walked up to Katie's side to ask if everything was okay. What seemed like a normal checkup turned into very odd moments. Now, I am not law enforcement, nor am I trained in any kind of law. But when Adam smarts off asking if it was an ID checking state, a huge red flag would have gone off for me, and I would have asked to see his license instead of Katie Ferguson's. Adam never had to show his ID, and the officer didn't ask him why he had his parents' 1999 Dodge Durango van and if he had permission to use the vehicle. I am not even sure they checked to see if it was his vehicle at all. In fact, when I obtained the dispatch call log, the name of the person in question was blank, with the date of birth of 1/1/1900. I'm not sure, but this must be the first time in history someone has questioned someone born in 1900. Now, they would be 123 years old. It's quite a miracle. I'm surprised they knew which call log to pull at all when I requested a copy of the dispatch log. While the video doesn't show Adam or Katie doing anything wrong, it does show a key moment. The officer seemed to focus on asking Adam questions through Katie instead of walking over to Adam's door himself. In my opinion, he should have asked more questions while taking notes of physical cues. For example, at one point in the video, Katie tells the officer, "I don't want to be here." I am not saying Katie was forced into getting into the car, but I am saying that the signs of domestic violence don't always begin with physical signs. Upon further review of the body cam footage, Katie appears to have a bruise on the left side of her face. This is the side that faced the officer, yet he didn't seem to notice it. Her mother described it as a bruise that she had never seen on Katie before. Not like that. Her mother noted that she could tell Katie didn't feel well in the video and suspected she was pregnant. If Katie was pregnant, it would be by another man that she had met while in Alabama. While we will never know for sure, one of the items found in the stolen abandoned 1999 Dodge Durango was a positive pregnancy test. In accordance with the evidence found inside the van when Adam arrived home in Cody, Wyoming, it appeared that the test had been purchased while on the road. This would absolutely be motive for Adam to kill Katie. They already had a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, and Adam didn't seem like the type that would be willing to welcome another child, especially one that is not his. The evidence pointing to a motive started to mount.
But I didn't realize that until I saw I heard about the pregnancy test from the detective. But, she had a look about her of, I want the hell out of here, but I'm scared. And I know exactly what he was doing. He was on the other side of her in the driver's seat, and he had both kids on his lap, okay? And he had the gun down below. That's where he kept it. I saw him put it there before in his hand, saw it underneath the seat is where he kept it, on the driver's side. He had that gun on her, and there was stuff going on then, bad stuff. And she was afraid. She did not want to be there. And that cop did not go around and talk to Adam like he should have.
Meanwhile, the police officer continued to ask general textbook questions during the Walmart parking lot inquiry. While police officers aren't domestic violence counselors, if they had done a little more questioning of this odd situation, they would have found that he may have had an unauthorized weapon in his vehicle, a clear violation of his parole. Adam was a felon because he was convicted in 2017 of that major drug charge. It would have been a move on the Truman, Arkansas police officer that could have possibly saved Katie's life. The time and events that happened after October 5th, 2023 become foggy from this point on. The next time Mona would hear about proof of life for her daughter would be on October the 8th, 2023. On this day, police told Mona that they heard Katie's voice in the background of a recording of Adam, who had called into Priceline to book a room for the night. Somewhere between Truman, Arkansas and the Arkansas state line, a hotel was booked. What happened at that hotel or shortly after is still a mystery. The police won't tell Katie's mother which hotel they booked. And we don't know if the employees were questioned or even if there are any video from the hotel itself that may lay out the clues we need to figure out what happened. The next time anyone saw Adam Aviles Jr. was the next day on October the 9th, 2023, when he was pulled over by Texarkana, Texas police, going the wrong way with 2 children, ages 4 and 1, unrestrained in the car. What happened during this traffic stop holds what I believe to be the key to finding Katie Ferguson. I obtained the body cam footage and dash cam footage from that stop, and what I saw absolutely shocked me. We will go over that body cam footage in detail later on the podcast. The full body cam is available to watch on my YouTube channel at Steph's Case Files. Adam's trial for possessing the ammunition that they caught him with in November of 2023 when they went to look for Katie in Cody, Wyoming, completed on October 13th, 2024. And Mona reached out to authorities to see if they could open an investigation in Arkansas regarding the disappearance of her daughter now that the trial is over. I obtained the body cam footage and dash cam footage from that stop, and what I saw absolutely shocked me. The body cam footage showed Adam in the car with the 2 children. But the problem is, Katie Ferguson was not in the car with them. This officer asked Adam to get out of the car and walk back to the car, asking him various questions about where he was going and why he was going there. Adam was not honest and told the officers a story about him going to Dothan, Alabama to pick up the children because they have shared custody, and he was on his way back from Dothan to Cody with the children, of course with Katie's permission. If you would like to watch the video in its entirety, I encourage you to visit my YouTube where you can watch the body cam footage. Just look for the video called Katie Ferguson Disappearance. The body cam footage in itself is disturbing because of many, many factors. While the police officer seems like he wants to help, it doesn't seem like he goes far enough or takes that extra step that the kids would have needed. By their own description, the 4-year-old had rotting teeth and sores on her skin that she kept scratching at. The car was filthy. They were filthy, clothes piled to the brim. The 1-year-old baby screaming in the back seat. In its car seat, the baby laid there, unknowingly to police officers containing 3rd-degree burns. The female police officer came and spoke to the little girl privately, and then they let them go on their way. You can tell by watching the body cam how shady he's acting. He definitely did not want the police to look at the child in fear of them finding the 1st to 4th degree burns on her body. We'll get to that later. In November of 2023, Katie Ferguson's mother, Mona, reported her missing in Cody, Wyoming. In efforts during their search, police officers found ammunition that Adam Aviles Jr. had that he wasn't supposed to have because that would violate his parole. They did not, however, find a weapon. The trial for possessing the ammunition that they caught him with completed on October the 13th, 2024. And Mona had reached out to authorities to see if they could open up an investigation in Arkansas regarding the disappearance of her daughter. The weapon that both Mona and Katie witnessed Adam having, the gun, was missing. So, all that authorities had was an ammunition charge for the bullets that remained behind. When she asked the detective in Cody, Wyoming, this question, The response she got was very odd. She was told not to contact anyone in Arkansas, as they are just now making friends. They are now making friends to gain their trust. Them. Who? Whose trust? Since when does inquiring about the disappearance of your child depend on the trust you build with the agency? Isn't it their duty to search for Katie and to keep the family updated along the way? Why are the answers based on trust and not the duty of the law?
I asked Detective if I could speak to Arkansas. Who could I speak to down in Arkansas about the murder case, since it's coming closer and closer and closer, and the search? And he said, please don't contact them. I'm just now getting friends with them, like they're beginning to trust me. And he said, please don't till after the hearing, and then I'll give you somebody. I'll give you someone to talk to. But I'm just making a rapport with them, and they trust me. And I said, what has that got to do with the search?
We should already.
What has that got to do with Katie's search and me speaking to somebody down there about this?
Remember, the last time anybody saw Katie Ferguson was on October 5th, 2023. So they won't let anyone search. This has been stated to Mom. Of all of the missing people in this country, I would say volunteers are allowed to search. Trained search groups and even most police would conduct at least one search. We know by other facts in this case that some sort of search was done. We just don't know where and what it entailed. But the Truman, Arkansas police happened to find a piece of Katie's pajamas during this so-called search. What seems to be a solid piece of evidence from this case carries a bigger mystery. Where was it found and how? Did the police randomly find a torn off piece of her pajamas? Or was a search conducted in an unknown secret area that no one knows about? When they asked Mona if it looked familiar after sending her a picture of the pajamas via email, Mona stated they did look familiar since she has the top to those very same pajamas. They shared everything, her and Katie, even clothes. What they found was a piece of pajama bottoms about $1 size, according to Mona. The police told her they had tried to illuminate it to see if there were any blood on it, but it was inconclusive.
It is a rural wooded area on a long dirt road. I know that much.
But where did they find the pajamas? They described as finding it in a rural area along a dirt road. Mona described the piece of clothing as torn up by animals. I wondered if the savage of the wild has already taken Katie, which would eliminate the chance of ever finding her. I also wondered how much the children saw that day in the van. My heart broke when the police asked the 4-year-old what she saw, to which she replied, "Daddy hurt Mommy on accident." At the time, the detective told Mona that the little girl told them what happened was enough, and that they got him now. Got him? He is in jail on an ammunition charge, has yet to be charged with anything regarding Katie, and you got him? How did they get him? The detective told Mona that they had enough to prosecute him for murder. Interesting. The detective in Cody, Wyoming said that they wanted to get the ammo charge on him first, so that they could secure him in jail while they looked for Katie. I'm sorry, but I have a problem with this. You don't need to secure someone in jail in another state to do a search for someone who is missing. The chances of Adam ever returning to Arkansas, staking out and ruining any search for Katie are impossible. In fact, they cut an unknown plea deal with Adam, which gave him only 7 years for the ammo charge. He will be out in 5 years or less. But when Adam returned to Cody from Dothan with the 2 children and him and not Katie, he stayed with his father. But for those 3 weeks that Adam was back in town, Adam's mother noticed that he dressed the baby overly warm. She also noticed that he wouldn't let her keep nor hold the baby. One day, while she had the 1-year-old, she took the coat off and saw her arm. She immediately took the baby to the emergency room, where the baby was treated for 1st to 4th degree burns. When asked what happened, Adam Aviles Jr. explained that the child fell into a campfire. The child can't walk, but somehow fell into a campfire. But instead of taking the child to the local hospital or nearest to treat her burns and relieve her pain, he kept driving. But let's take a look back a moment. Let's go back, but let's stop and take a moment and revisit that traffic stop that happened on October the 9th, 2023 at 5:55 p.m. The reason he was pulled over, as I stated, was because he was going the wrong way down the road with unrestrained children. The public had called 911 claiming that the car was going down the wrong side of the road. The Durango had a backseat window missing on the passenger side, and seemingly the only protection from the wind and elements was a blanket that hung over it, held onto the vehicle by being closed in it. The gray blanket was fuzzy on one side and slick on the other. There were also visible bullet holes freshly covered by duct tape in the passenger front door. They also found the 4-year-old unrestrained. In the body cam footage, you can see a pile of clothes covering the passenger seat. Not just piled on the seat, but in my opinion, strategically placed even up the back and onto the back headrest. Adam informs police that he was just driving back to Cody. When police asked where he was coming from, Adam explained that they were coming from Dothan, Alabama at first. But then they took a trail over towards Texas. That's what he said, that they took a trail. The officer continues to inquire as to exactly what Adam was doing. Just 2 minutes into the traffic stop, Adam begins to tell the story of his journey from Alabama. He told police that we had left Alabama and decided to take a trail over towards Texas. Some will speculate that when Adam said we, he meant him and the children. There is just this one problem I have with this theory, and that is, I don't believe he would make a mutual decision with the 4-year-old, nor the 1-year-old, about taking a detour on their way back from Dothan, Alabama to Cody, Wyoming to go down some trail close to Texas. Furthermore, I believe he gave his first truthful hint about where Katie's body may be. A trail close to Texas. Adam then tells the officer that he hadn't seen the children in forever, stating, "I just got them back, and we are going up there," meaning Cody, Wyoming. What followed next was what I believe to be a truthful statement by Adam while revealing as a clue to what the last whereabouts of Katie are. At 2 minutes, 56 seconds into the traffic stop, Adam states, "Yes." When the officer summarized, "You picked them up from Dothan, Alabama from their mom?" His first lie in this stop, other than possibly being too tired to drive. You see, he blamed the fact that he was going down the wrong side of the road to simply exhaustion. But he did pick the kids up from Dothan, except that he also picked Katie up. My heart fell as I listened to this lie from Adam and the officer taking him at his word. 5 minutes into the traffic stop, the officer goes back to his patrol car to check Adam's license. The license was valid, though the officer would have no idea of Adam's past. 9 minutes and 51 seconds into the traffic stop, a second officer arrives. The officer goes up to her window to talk to her and says, "This whole thing is weird." So, less than 10 minutes into the traffic stop brought an odd feeling over the officer. That quick.
This whole thing is weird.
Wow.
He drove down here from Cody, Wyoming to Alabama, picked up these kids from their mom. And one of the kids is his. The other one has a different last name. And he said he's taking them back to Wyoming, but, I mean, the vehicle's looks like he's been living out of it. It's filthy. The kids are filthy. They're not in car seats. There's a dog back in there with him, which is...
What is he, like, what is that? Is this all show or what?
The kid was crying, so he picked her up. But he was all over there. He said he was tired, but he was all over the road. So
And he's driving all the way back to Wyoming tonight with the kids?
Yes.
And he's already tired?
Yeah. And he just picked him up. He was in Alabama, and he said he was going back to Wyoming.
Alabama to Wyoming via Texas. Interesting. How old are the kids?
One of them was just born, the one in the car was just born last year.
After the brief conversation that he had with the other female officer, he walked back to Adam, who was slowly rocking his daughter back and forth while standing along a busy highway. At 11 minutes and 32 seconds into the stop, the officer asked if the other child was okay. Adam said yeah, but the officer never looked at the other child to make sure everything was okay. The 1-year-old, screaming from the back seat, had those burns as we talked about before. The officer peered into the front seat but missed one important clue as well. If you have watched the body cam footage by now, on the front passenger seat at the top is a clear bullet hole with blood around it. While this observation is clearly only my opinion from a screenshot of that moment in time from the body cam and could be wrong, I feel if you see the photo yourself, you may agree. The car now, as of January 2025, is in custody of the Cody, Wyoming Police Department, who has never acknowledged a bullet hole and blood on the passenger seat. Maybe because the whole entire front seat, when they were able to find the vehicle at all, was completely missing. Meanwhile, during this traffic stop, the female officer comes up to Adam to take the little girl into her vehicle. The conversation between the officer and Adam continued. The officer ensued what he would call a sobriety test, but what I would call a uncompleted disaster. He asked him if he had any alcohol or drugs, and Adam said no. The officer checked his eyes by waving his pen back and forth and then stated, "Okay, buddy, you can relax." Buddy? That is the only test that they did. Though I am not sure what all the required parts of a sobriety test are, it is my belief that it should have included more than doing only one part of it. At 13 minutes and 45 seconds into the body cam, the officer asked Adam one more time the most important question he lied on during the stop. When the officer asked Adam if he could speak to Katie, he said that she didn't have a phone, which we now know to be another lie. Katie's mother, Mona, stated that she did in fact have a cell phone that was found powered down but working fine. It's alleged that Adam made her power down her phone, refusing to let her communicate with anyone once they left the Dothan, Alabama area. And then Adam tells the officer that he last saw Katie in Arlington, and then stops to correct himself and then says, Arkansas.
There's no way I can get in touch with her?
No, I can't get in touch with her either. I saw her last in Arlington? No, not Arlington. Arkansas.
Arkansas? Okay. And how long?
No, they neither. I mean, she doesn't have direct custody of them either. We'll both have custody of our children.
You have joint custody of them?
Yes.
So how long are you taking them back to Wyoming for?
I'm not sure. I mean, we'll figure that out. I'm not sure. Her phone just recently broke.
The officer acknowledges Arkansas, and even though by this point they had several conversations about Adam picking up the kids from Katie and Dothan, Adam had slipped. The worst part? The officer never even caught it. Then the officer asked Adam what the mother's name is, and he nervously threw his arm up to the side of his head. His fist formed as if he felt that his world was crumbling down. His response, though, was Mona.
What?
She lives in Alabama? She's
Yes.
an Alabama resident?
Yep.
Okay. What's their mama's name?
Mona?
Adam then responds, Katie.
I'm sorry?
Their mom's name?
Yeah.
Katie.
The kid's mom. Katie.
At 15 minutes into the stop, the officer tells Adam that he isn't accusing him of anything, to which Adam responds, You're good, you're good. This seemed to be such a particular thing to say to someone whom you are in fact investigating. After all, the entire thing was weird according to the officer himself. When the officer is done talking to Adam, he proceeds to go back to the female's vehicle, which contained the 4-year-old little girl. The officer gets back into his vehicle and calls the Texas Abuse Hotline for law enforcement. At this point in the traffic stop, I am hopeful. Hopeful that he would have a moment to think about everything he had seen and would now be able to get help. But here is the conversation that the officer had with the abuse hotline in its entirety. It's up to you to form your own opinion.
You have reached the Texas Abuse Hotline for law enforcement.
What's that? Yeah.
Press 2 now to reach the correct department. If you are law enforcement, please hold and a specialist will be with you shortly.
Thank you for calling. My name is... Please have your first name. And what's your last name? And what law enforcement agency are you with?
Texas Department of Public Safety.
And what's your badge number? And do you have a case or incident number?
No.
No, okay. What's your station's address?
My office address is Texas.
And what's a good phone number for you?
My cell phone number is...
Is that going to be the best number to use to get hold of you, or do you have a secondary?
That'll be the best one.
Okay. It's regarding an adult or a child.
It's regarding 2 children.
Okay. The name of the oldest one, if that's handy?
Yes.
Male or female?
Female?
Date of birth? Do you have a social security number for anybody?
No.
Okay. What's the home address?
All I've got is a address out of Wyoming.
Phone number for parent or guardian?
I haven't got his phone number. It's going to be the driver that I have pulled over here.
Okay. Name of the next child? Male or female?
Female?
Are they siblings?
Yes.
Okay. Date of birth for this one? Are they with mom or dad?
I'm sorry?
Are they with mom or dad?
They're with Dad.
What's dad's name?
His name is Adam Avila.
And his is the same address?
Yes.
Okay. Phone number for... You know the phone number. Okay. Date of birth to him? Do you know his current marital status?
I haven't asked him. He said that him and the mom of the kids were never married.
Okay. Is mom in the car?
No. Mom is supposedly in Alabama with no way to contact her.
Okay.
So,
What's going on?
yeah, so I pulled this car over because it was called in as a possible intoxicated driver, and the vehicle was all over the road, but I've just ran him through sobriety, and he's not impaired. He said he was tired, but the circumstances seem just suspicious. He looks like he's been living out of the vehicle. He told me he drove from Cody, Wyoming to Alabama and picked up these kids that he has joint custody of, and now he's taking them back to Wyoming, but like I said, it looks like he's been living out of the car. It's filthy inside. One of the kids is not in a car seat. The kids are dirty, and I've got a deputy talking to the older child who doesn't have any, can't give any information, I guess, or is not able to. She
Okay.
can't tell you who her mom is or anything like that. But I asked to speak to the mom on the phone, and he said that her phone is turned off or something. But I don't know. It seems suspicious in the fact that they're coming from Alabama to Wyoming, and then coming through this particular area isn't really a direct route. So it just seems kind of off.
Do the children appear fearful of him?
No. No.
Okay.
Well, I
So
mean,
they are his kids?
as far as I can tell.
Okay.
I just, I mean, I didn't know, and I don't know what you're able to look up, like, outside of Texas. I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't an active...
I can't look anything up outside of Texas.
Oh, okay. Well, see, that's what I didn't know.
I don't have access.
I
I
get
don't
you.
have access to any other database. If you wanted information about if he's got anything going on in Wyoming, you'd have to call there.
I'd have to call up there. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you happen to have that phone number? Is there a way you can get me that phone number?
Give me just a second. I don't know if they have a central office like we do.
I get you.
That doesn't help you. Do the kids look like they're okay? They're taken care of? Just one wasn't in the car seat and they look kind of dirty?
Yeah, they look pretty dirty.
Okay.
And just, poor hygiene. And I mean, they don't look like they're been, physically abused that I can tell.
Okay. So there's no concern for any obvious abuse. They're not fearful of the child. They look like they're taken care of. They're just kind of dirty and one was not in the car seat.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay,
like
make
I
sure that
said,
I don't have enough information.
like I said, the travel plans and information and stuff is just kind of sketchy right now, for lack of a better term.
Well, found a fax number. That's not going to help you any.
I don't have a fax machine in my car.
Okay. Yeah, but you might need the information a bit faster than that too. So. Oh, they do it by county. So let me see what county they're from. They aren't telling you what county they're in. Could you ask them what county they're from?
Yeah, I should be able. Well, heck, I should be able to Google Cody, Wyoming, and figure out what county it is.
Okay, mine's not coming up with a county.
Wyoming. Let's see.
Never mind, I got it. Park County.
Okay.
Park County. Park County. Well, that doesn't help me any either because the office hours are Monday through Friday. Oh, wait, what time zone are they in?
They
talking to myself more than
yeah,
anything.
no. I think they're probably an hour or maybe two behind us, but I think maybe they're 1 hour behind us.
They're mountain time, so they're 1 hour behind us, so their
Yeah.
office is closed.
Okay.
Because it closes at 5.
Well,
That's not going to help you any either. Do they have a 800 number?
no, but I'd like to. What I'll do is I'll call them. I mean, I'll have to let him go, but I'll call them tomorrow just to follow up with them.
Okay. Let me give you that number then.
Mm-hmm.
Go back down to that. The main number is 2. Yeah. And if you want, you're not reporting abuse, you're just asking questions.
Right.
And their hours are 8 to 5, so they're 1 hour behind us. So it's 5:21 there now.
Yeah, his hands. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much all I can do right now.
So just to clarify, he's not under the influence of anything. He was just tired. The car's a mess. The kids are dirty, and one was not in a car seat.
Yes, that is the gist of it. Yes.
Okay. Okay. When you said he was driving kind of like literally all over the road as in a dangerous way, or just kind of weaving?
No, I mean, he was called in by someone on 911 that said he went off the road and then got back on the road, and for the brief moment that I was behind him, he went way onto the shoulder and then crossed over into the oncoming lane in a no passing zone, like approaching a hill. So I mean, it was pretty hazardous.
Okay. Do you know if he's going to be in Texas for a couple of days, or if he's heading back to Wyoming today?
He said he's traveling back to Wyoming today, but he's going to pull over.
Today.
He's going to pull over here and rest for a little bit. He said until the sun goes the rest of the way down. That's what he told me.
Let me look through my guidelines real quick to see if I have enough for an intake for medical supervision, since he was driving all over the place. Give me just a minute. I mean, I don't know what they can do because they'll be gone in a few hours, but
Yeah.
normally if the offense takes place in Texas, we have jurisdiction, but only if they stay in Texas.
Ah, I got you. Yeah, I didn't really know what my options were, but I was wanting to exhaust every option I had before I just cut him loose.
Okay, well,
I'll go ahead and send this to the local CPS office anyway. They might be able to contact the CPS office in Wyoming.
Oh, yeah.
So which child was not in the car seat?
That would be the older child. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so he went off the road, according to your reporter, and you saw him go into basically oncoming traffic on a hill.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the kids are dirty. Do they look like they've got any kind of sores on them, rashes, anything like that from being dirty, or they just haven't had a bath in a few days?
Probably the latter. They look like they just haven't had a good bath in a while.
Do they look like they've been fed?
Yeah. From what I can tell, they look average weight.
Okay.
They
All right.
I don't know.
No for mom at all?
No, I've got a name, and that's it.
Okay.
I've got a name of Katie Ferguson.
Okay, I'll
and that's,
take that.
Katie Ferguson, as he said the name. He said she lives in Alabama. They have joint custody. He told me that she knows where the kids are right now, and that he has them, and that's something that was agreed upon, but I've got no way to contact her to verify that.
Wait a minute. I thought Adam said he last saw Katie in Arkansas. Let's continue.
Right. Okay. Well, as I said, I'll go ahead and send this to CPS, but they might just close it since he might not be in Texas by the time they get this. I'm still going to do that anyway. So let me give you this report ID number then for your records.
Wonderful. Okay.
And
I have a.
Do you know?
I was going to say I have a call number for the traffic stop if that's something you need, if that helps you at all.
Yeah, I'll take that.
To link that to, it's going to be stand by. Okay.
Oh, there's no letters in this one?
No.
Just your case numbers that have all the letters in them.
Well, no, that's the old system that we had for tickets that would generate the big alphabet soup, and this is more. This is now we have actual everything's a call number, and it's a call-based system, and it's 2020 the year dash, and then it just runs up sequentially.
Right, okay, I used to hate having to write down y'all's case numbers because it was,
me too.
15 letters and a number and 5 letters and something else.
Yeah, trust me.
Can you tell if any of the kiddos have a special need or disability?
Didn't appear so. Not that I could tell.
Right, well, I'll go ahead and send this over to CTS.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the help.
Okay.
I will.
Thank you for calling.
I'll try to call that number tomorrow when they're open for the office in Wyoming, just to make sure everything is 10-4. But I appreciate the help. Thank you so much.
Do you want the phone number to report abuse? Oh no, man, it's the same number. Forget that.
Okay. Well, I've got everything I need then. I appreciate your time. Thank you. Bye.
Overall, the entire conversation seemed like a ping-pong match of nothing much. Just a few scorned textbook questions. Still, the officer felt something was wrong. Something was off. I just wonder how he overlooked the bullet hole in the passenger seat, which had a circle of blood soaked around it, allegedly. It crept up over all the clothes as he had piled on the passenger seat to cover up the truth of what had happened just hours earlier. Here the officer seemed to be hurrying along, looking at his computer as to get through the questions in a jiffy. The operator clearly asked if the children looked like they had sores on them, or if they looked like they just needed a bath. The officer said the latter, meaning he thought they were just dirty. Furthermore, if the officer had just opened the door, he would have seen the baby had severe burns. That is, if Adam didn't dress her warmly as to cover it, and in the Texas October weather, I would have questioned why. The officer never looked at the baby. 34 minutes into the traffic stop, the officer walks back to the vehicle where you see Adam attending to the baby in the back. It's weird, the officer said. The female officer proceeds to speak, and you can hear the baby screaming in the background. Adam was having trouble putting the 4-year-old back into the car. But what happened next really has taken my heart by a storm. In the process of the female officer explaining to the male officer what she just had to do, meaning helping get the child back into the car, she said something horrible that no police officer should ever say.
there comes a point where you stop negotiating with terrorists and you beat the ass. Again.
But, like, isn't, like, the inside of that car is, like, filthy? Disgusting, like,
the child is disgusting. Her teeth are rotting out of her head. She has no shoes on. She's scratching all over.
Yeah.
And she finally was able to tell me her mom's name is Katie.
Okay.
That's all she can tell me.
Excuse me? You stopped negotiating with terrorists and beat the ass? Does this sound like an officer that you would want to be overlooking your child during a traffic stop? What did the officer say to the 4-year-old while they were alone in the car? I was absolutely floored with what an officer of the law responded with and how they spoke that way about a 4-year-old little girl. A little girl who had just been forced to leave her car that had been on the road for weeks. A little girl who was dirty and had sores on her arms that were all scratched. A little girl who had just seen her mother murdered just hours earlier. A little girl lost. Let's go back to Cody, Wyoming. After he returned, Mona called the police to report her daughter missing. Remember, they were able to get him on the ammunition charge, but the gun they never found. When the police came, they also searched the area for the Durango, which now was also missing. When the police found the van abandoned in the Oregon Basin, they knew something was wrong. The Oregon Basin is an area known to house the dead upon their demise, and the vehicle sat there, appearing to have had black trash bags put over every single window. They found Clorox wipes inside, as well as the smell of petrified blood. Then they observed 2 to 3 fresh bullet holes in the door, which were covered with that duct tape. They also noticed one other thing. The entire front seat passenger chair was completely missing. Somewhere between Texarkana, Texas and Cody, Wyoming, Adam had removed the front passenger seat completely. The gun that people witnessed him having had been missing. So, all those detectives had to charge him with was the ammo, despite all of the evidence that they saw before them. Possession of ammunition, a parole violation. Mona stated that Adam's parents reported something slushing around in a container that had a foul smell upon his return to Cody. When his parents reported him to the police, Adam left in the Durango and the suspicious container disappeared. The father described it as heavy, and the detective felt it could have been a part of Katie's body. The container was never found. Oddly enough, Adam's phone pinged in Cook City, Montana, which is about 64 miles and a 2-hour drive away from Cody, Wyoming, in the days that he had returned to Cody. Why was Adam way up in Cook City, Montana in the days leading up to the car being found in the first place? Is that where the seat was disposed of? My firing question is, did investigators even ask him where the seat was? Surely and visibly, you can see that the seat was in the car with Katie in it on the October 5th, 2023 video cam from Truman Police, Arkansas. Surely and visibly, you can see that the seat was in the car with Katie sitting in it during that traffic inquiry on October 5th, 2023 in Truman, Arkansas. Clearly, you can see that the seat was still in the car, covered by clothes, accompanied by 2 to 3 freshly put, unrusted bullet holes in the door covered by fresh duct tape. So when Adam got to Cody, Wyoming, what happened to the front passenger seat? You need special tools to remove the seat, so where did Adam get these special tools? And what do people know more about that they aren't saying? If Adam hadn't brought the special tool, then someone would have had to have given it to him. There wouldn't have been time for Adam to buy such a tool online, and he wasn't known to have the tool on hand. So the question remains, who may have helped Adam with the tool, and what did he say he needed the tool for when he borrowed it? Let's recap. An abandoned car, the smell of blood, a missing seat, and a suspicious missing container and shady behavior not only during the October 5th stop and the October 9th, 2023 stop, but also in the other 2 times he was pulled over before even getting back to Colorado. While investigators were examining the car, Adam Aviles was seen approaching the van with a gas can. Now, this seems like a scene straight out of a movie. Everyone knew Adam was most likely coming to burn the van, but the biggest part of the evidence against him still hasn't been found, according to the FBI. The police, the FBI, both concluded something had happened in that van. Something horrible. No one along the path from Truman, Arkansas to Texarkana, Texas reported seeing Katie, Adam, and the 2 children or any suspicious activity. No one especially heard the screams that you would expect to hear from a 1-year-old child who had just been burned. Could this mean that whatever happened along some dirt road where they found a place to camp? Perhaps this didn't happen in a campground, but somewhere off the beaten path, away from spectators. Wyoming police informed Mona that the search in Arkansas could only be performed by special people because they didn't want evidence to be tampered with. I had just asked the question whether they didn't want evidence tampered with or found at all. I believe the biggest piece of evidence is Katie herself. But you can't find something that is missing unless you are looking for it. Exactly what the state of Arkansas is waiting on, we may never know. Katie's mother, Mona, brought up a great point. Why hasn't there been anything from the police department that Katie is missing at all? Normally, maybe you would even see it all over the news, but she never saw anything. In the criminal complaint filed on November the 9th, 2023, Mona says Aviles told her that Ferguson had left him and the children. The criminal complaint states that Aviles maintains that Ferguson went on a drug run during their trip and did not return. He also allegedly said that she was not missing, but instead wanted to lose contact with her mother. Let me explain something. From all accounts, Katie was a wonderful mother who loved her kids deeply, despite her own struggle with drugs. With a 4-year-old and a baby who was about to turn 1, there just doesn't seem to be any kind of way Katie would leave her entire family just to get away from her mom. Katie and her mother were close, and it's not anything Katie would ever do. Between November the 9th, 2023 and October 13th, 2024, Adam Aviles sat in jail in Cody, Wyoming, awaiting the outcome of the ammunition charge he caught when he returned to Cody. The gun is still missing, but he didn't get rid of the ammo, and that is what they got him on. While in prison, despite all the evidence I had laid before you on this podcast, Adam Aviles Jr. reached a plea deal with Wyoming officials, even though the event of Katie's disappearance happened in Arkansas. Adam Shane Aviles Jr. was sentenced to 87 months in federal prison for being a felon in possession of ammunition. Based on evidence presented at the sentencing hearing, Judge Alan B. Johnson found that Aviles unlawfully possessed the ammunition in connection with the voluntary manslaughter of Catherine Ferguson. Aviles pleaded guilty on June the 14th, 2024. Aviles had been in jail since November 2023 after the Park County Sheriff's Office found bullet holes, a fully loaded .45 caliber magazine, and ammunition, and numerous blood-stained items inside the vehicle. The crime was investigated by the Park County Sheriff's Office, the Wyoming Division of Criminal Investigation, and the FBI with assistance from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. The case was prosecuted by Assistant U.S. Attorney Paige Hammer. 87 months. For the life of me, I can't figure out why they are saying involuntary manslaughter when the evidence seems to point to a much, much more sinister way of thinking by Adam. This conclusion was based on evidence presented by the government, including bullet holes, a loaded magazine, in all of the blood-stained items found. But does this mean that the state of Arkansas won't investigate her disappearance or her death? Throughout this nightmare that has happened to her mother, Mona, siblings and family of Katie Ferguson, the family has remained strong. Her mother has remained vigilant on her disappearance, maintaining the danger that exists when Adam turns home in 87 months or less to the children he shares with Katie. The grief that exists in this case hasn't gotten the attention it deserves and has left a mother brokenhearted in search of what may remain of her daughter. This is a grief I would never want to have in a world I would never want to understand. So many questions remain. How was Katie there on October 5th and not on October the 9th? Remember that seat that went missing? In the body cam of the Texas State Police on that missing seat, I want you to zoom in and tell me what you see there just above the clothes. I don't know if Wyoming slowed down the video frame by frame like I did, or if Arkansas even knows that this body cam footage exists. But I do know that a mother mourns the daughter she saw drive off that day, knowing to her it would be the last time she would ever see her. As of January the 15th, 2025, there has been no statement from the Arkansas State Police, the Arkansas Truman Police, the Texas State Police, or any other person regarding the disappearance of Katie Ferguson. Katie is still missing. But tune in next time as we investigate the disappearance of Nicole Ferguson, Katie's sister, who hasn't been seen since August of 2024. Only Mona can tell us what it's like to have two daughters missing. And only Colorado can tell us why they say no missing persons report can be filed on Nicole Ferguson. Katie Ferguson. We will always seek justice to find out where she is so we can bring her home
no
and
more
lay her to
talking
rest
about it
properly.
the way it is, it's no mystery, there's no getting around it. When you're here, we got chemistry. We light up when we ignite. We are stars in a darkened sky. When you leave, don't forget to remember. Don't forget to remember me. When you leave, don't forget to remember. Don't forget to remember me. Remember me.